Hey, Damon.
Great to talk to you, man.
Good to talk to you again, man. I haven't talked to you since that bitterly cold night after your Iridium show here in New York.
I know. This is pretty sweet that we get to speak again. Thanks for connecting with Jody, and this is great, man.
Well, it's my pleasure. In fact, Jody mentioned before we got on the phone, you just, last time we spoke, like I said, it was freezing cold. Jody said you just got back from doing a gig in the Bahamas.
Yeah, man, it's almost like a dream. I swear, Jay. Long story short, I have a friend down there. I've played there a couple times before, but he was on top of it and arranged everything so that I could perform the same week that my kids are out for spring break.
Nice.
So I took my wife, our two youngest kids, and my friend is also tied in with that Atlantis resort. You know, this guy.
Yeah, sure.
Slide,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So we were there for 6 days, and it was incredible. And it's just one of the most memorable experiences I've ever had in my life. And my kids are still just levitating about it.
I'm so happy to hear that for a couple of reasons. And, when we spoke, we talked for an hour in depth, but the album wasn't out yet, so that's what we're going to talk about today. But a couple of things I do want to say here is we talked about, the reason that you decided to leave Black Star Riders was really because of your family. And you had said, you know what I did the other day? You said, I walked up to the calendar with my son and we pointed out a date, and I believe it was probably the week you're talking about. And off to the Bahamas you went. And, you said that's really why you're doing what you're doing, because you want to spend more time with the kids.
Yeah, man. And you know what? It's like just in the short term since I saw you in January, I've had multiple reinforcements of the fulfillment of that decision and the positive effect it's having on my home life. Look, man, I'm working really hard. It's not like the phone's ringing off the hook from, festivals saying, "Hey, we want to hire Damon Johnson to come and play." You got to go find that stuff. You got to do some work. And so, I'm grateful to have a good team with me. And so I invest some time, almost like I'm managing this thing, Jay. And I spend a little time during the weekdays, especially, a couple hours on the phone, on the computer, taking care of business. But man, I'm dropping those kids off at school every morning. I'm here when they get home off the bus. We're going to hockey games. We're going to basketball games. We're going to McDonald's. It's just the best. And I swear, I feel like it's kind of made my creativity even sharper because I'm writing more than ever. I've got more ideas bouncing around for the next record, and I'm just really grateful, man, to be in this place of, whatever path it took for me to arrive here. I'm just happy that I finally arrived here. So.
Well, I am so happy to hear that, man. I really am, because we talked in depth about this stuff, and I'm so glad to hear, that it's working out the way you wanted it to work out, man, because those kids, they grow up quick, man. I know, mine are grown, so it does.
They do, man, and look, not everybody's not everybody's marriage is the kind that, you write love songs about. I'm fortunate that mine is,
Mm-hmm.
And so, over the decades, I've been on the road with guys that married with kids, and, they say they want to be home more, but they're never home more. They don't want to fill that calendar with as much travel and as much touring as they can. And I get it, man, to a degree. It's like you kind of buy into that concept of, well, this is my job, and this is what I have to do. Okay, well, that's fine for you, but it's not fine for Damon. So I finally arrived at that balance, Jay. I guess is really the most composite way to say it. I've been talking about balance for years and striving to try and find it. And making this decision to go solo was a giant step in that direction. And I really feel like I finally arrived at that place.
I am happy to hear it. Let's talk about the album. First of all, when I saw you earlier this year, you played a couple of songs from the album. Your first single, Shivering, Shivering, I hear went to number 11, maybe even number 10 on the charts, on the music charts. So congratulations about that.
Thank you. Thank you. Much credit to Jody.
It's a great listen. The last time I talked to you, the album wasn't out yet. Now I've had a chance to absorb this album. So, it opens up with Shivering, Shivering, badass song. Into Dallas Could Have Been a Beatdown, another hard rockin' song. Down on Me, another hard rocker. Great song. But a couple of songs I want to talk to you about because, you had also said in the press release that it could have been a concept album. You wanted to steer clear of that, but these songs all do tie together. Another song I want to talk about that's also a rocker, Making Peace with This Wicked Beast. So you got these rockers on here, and then you take some turns on the album. So a couple of songs I want to talk to you about. Rage With Me. What was the inspiration for that song?
Rage With Me came, as you and I talked about before, I co-wrote the bulk of, really 9 of these 10 songs with a long-time brother and collaborator, Jim Trogland. And Jim would just play me things. He would send me some stuff he had, I would send him some things I had. And Rage With Me came from a demo he sent of something he'd been working on for a completely different project. It was a totally different lyric. The lyric was not Rage With Me, but Jim had a good melody, and I liked the energy of it, man. The vibe of it felt almost like the Pixies meets Husker Du a little bit, and the melody really drew me in, and I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff, Jay. And so I just sat down, man, and I pictured the protagonist in a situation where he's so filled with anger and frustration about the relationship. But so is his partner, and that's how they arrived at the turmoil in the first place. So it's this twisted kind of dance, kind of saying, come and rage with me. Let's just lose our minds together because this place that we're at is a big drag. And, we might as well just get it out of our system. So you throw everything at me you've got. I'm going to throw everything at you that I've got. Let's get it out of there, Let's get it on the table, and then let's try, if we can, to get past it. That's the inspiration for that.
Okay, now, speaking of system, talk to me about the song, We Got a System.
Thank you, man. We Got a System almost didn't make it. That was an 11th hour edition. The idea wasn't fully developed, but we had the chorus lyric and one of the verses. And I think that's why I was kind of discounting it. I'm like, man, this needs more words. I got to finish this. But I played it for my drummer, Jared Pope. Just me on the acoustic guitar, just out in the studio. Like, hey, man, what do you think about this? And he immediately got fired up, and he laid into a groove. And I was like, okay, well, the clock was ticking. We're running out of time. It's like, all right, well, let's just lay this down, and then I'll finish the lyric later, So we came up with an arrangement on the spot. Jared crushed the drums, did an amazing job. And, I think I had to go back on the road with Black Star Riders shortly after that, Jay. So while I was traveling, I just had my earbuds in and probably sitting on an airplane and finished that lyric and came up with the second verse and that little bridge section. And then when I started laying the guitars down on that song, a couple months later, I loved it, man. It felt almost like a great Tom Petty song, in the openness. That's why I had my friend Rob Arthur play B3 organ on it. He did a great job. But I love We Got a System. That's really cool that you mentioned that song.
Yeah, because it's a little bit different, than the hard rockers. So I wanted to ask you about that, and that's what I like about this album. It definitely, all these songs do tie in, 10 tracks. And the whole album, it sounds good. It's got good punch. The instruments sound good. Of course, your vocals, you're a phenomenal singer. It sounds really good. I want to talk about a couple of the other songs here. Let's talk about Call It a Trade. What can you tell me about that?
Call It a Trade is the one song on the entire record that kind of was a complete piece of work before I ever got my hands on it.
Interesting.
Jim worked. He's got his own band, and he sent me a song that they had done that really just blew me away, Jay. And there's a lyric in the finished song that you're talking about. The lyric says, "I'll give to you my heart and soul. And, you know, the character in the verses is basically pleading to his partner, like, you know, I just want to bathe in, I want to bathe in all these things that you are.
Mm-hmm.
What you wear, how you smell, the pillow you put your head on. I mean, the whole story just knocked me out, man, the first time I heard it. But the chorus said, I'll give to you my borrowed soul. And that was the one line that didn't do it for me. I'm like, oh, man, this guy's desperate. He's losing his mind. And he's laying it out to her like, if you'll give, you know, let me absorb all this stuff, and in exchange for that, I'll give you my heart and soul, all of me. So I changed that line. I ran it by Jim and the great James Hall, who's in his band with him. James is a badass singer, great writer. And so I was really excited when James hit me back. He said, I love it, man. He goes, it makes more sense that way. And it fit right in to the whole 10-song record, Jay, like we're talking about there.
Yeah.
Well, there's a theme to the song. So it was a really important piece for this record and in the story. Just really grateful to James and to Jim for, you know, bringing that to me, man. It's a powerful lyric.
Yeah, that it is. All right, next song. The World Keeps Spinning Round.
The World Keeps Spinning Round started as a lyric that Jim sent me. He had a verse, and I loved it instantly. I loved the sentiment of it. And for the first time in my life as a songwriter, instead of picking up the guitar, I sat down at the piano.
Wow.
Now, I'm not a piano player. You know, I'm like a meat and potatoes guy. You know, I just drop two fingers down and it makes a chord, you know, when I move those two fingers, and you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like chopsticks. That's about the extent of my piano playing. But I came up, you know, as I sat there at the piano, I started developing this melody for the vocal that I felt great about, and it sounded really different. It didn't sound like anything I'd ever heard before. So I played it for Jim. He got emotional, Jay. He was like so happy with, you know, the arrangement and the melody that I came up with.
Beautiful.
So as I started making a little rough demo of it, all of a sudden it popped in my head like, man, this could be a moment for me to pay tribute to one of my guitar heroes, Gary Moore, and really try to make one of those statement guitar lines, guitar solos that's just soaring and singing, you know, a melody that you can almost sing like a lyric. And so proud of that song, The World Keeps Spinning Round. It's easily probably in my top two on the whole record. I'm playing it live with my band. It's a great moment in the show when we break it down.
Now, what would be your other favorite track?
I don't know that I could love Shivering more than I do. You know, it's kind of a toss-up between Shivering and Dallas. No surprise that I front-loaded the record with those two songs. It's just straight-ahead rock and roll, man, and there's an urgency to the way the rhythm section plays Shivering. It's just like a punch right between the eyes, and I love it. I'm not tired of really the whole album, Jay. I listened to it again yesterday when I was taking a walk with my daughter. We had it on her little iPod, and you know, just proud, man. You know the song.
Well, that's a very good description of Shivering, because it is like a punch in the eyes. And, you know, the first time I heard it is when you played it. And I was just like, damn, man, it almost makes you shiver, you know, in a really good way. It's high energy, and it's, you know, same thing with Dallas. Now, before you were talking about guitars, I'll tell you what I really like. This is actually a two-part question. There is some badass guitar in the song called So Brutal. Now, I listened to the words in So Brutal, and I know what it means for me, but I want to know where that came from for you.
That's another lyric that Jim brought me, and much like Call It a Trade, I only had to hear it one time. The first time I heard it, I went, I love this. Now, the version he sent was super, super stripped down, like an acoustic guitar and a female vocal on it. And I think the fact that there was a female perspective on the original recording made it more impactful on me. So I kind of flipped the narrative and sang it like, like a guy would, of course. And changed some words in the second verse, and I came up with that bridge section that says, it makes you feel alive. We feel it more and more. Now we're drowning in this shallow pool, so brutal to the core. It's a little bit of that same Rage With Me lyrical concept, man. It's like both parties are just butting heads, and there's a lot of reasons to stay together, but you're at this place where you're just like, man, I don't know if I can deal with this. This is too much work. This feels like too much work to get through this.
That is exactly where it hit me. Exactly.
Yeah, man. That's exactly why Rage With Me and So Brutal are back to back on the record. There's a common sentiment there. And thank you for your comments about the guitar.
I was listening to the words and I was like, oh my God, this hits home. And then all of a sudden the guitar comes in and I was like, damn, on top of that, it's got this badass guitar, this lead guitar thing coming in here, throughout the song.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, man. Yeah, that's the guys in my band, that's one of their favorite songs. We've not worked it up yet to play it live, but I think we're going to need to, man, because, again, it would be a great moment in the show. There's a lot of dynamics. It kind of starts out from an eerie place, and then it gets really heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of takes you on a trip for sure. So thank you, man. I appreciate you.
You're welcome, man. The way you wrote it certainly comes across, because I listened to that song and I said, man, this really hits home. Not in a good way, not in a bad way. It hits home. And I'm just going to leave that there.
Thank
leave
you,
my personal life out of it. But, that's going to do a lot for a lot of people. And I always tell people that when they write songs like that, it's like, man, breakup songs or love songs, I think sometimes the breakup songs or a song like So Brutal does more for people than a love song does.
I could not agree with you more, Jay. I could not agree with you more. I think it would bum maybe my fans out if they knew the depth of melancholy of the music that I listen to just for enjoyment.
Mm.
It seems to be songs about struggle that speak to me the most. And if you really dig deep, man, so many of the greatest artists, they've got plenty of those songs in their catalog. If it's Van Morrison, if it's Fiona Apple, if it's Joni Mitchell, if it's Beyonce, for God's sake, man, her Lemonade record from 2 years ago, Oh my God. That record was insane, man, loaded with stuff like that. So there's no question that those kinds of songs really fueled the songwriting on Memoirs of an Uprising. So I credit you, man. You're on the right path with everything you're talking about. I mean, there's no question that was the sentiment and the energy.
Well, as cliche as it sounds, what you just said, it translates to the fans and it helps them get through their own lives. So, you guys are writing it, you guys are playing it, and people hear these struggle songs and it helps them with their own personal struggles. You can rock, and of course everybody loves to do that. I love to rock with songs like Shivering, and I got to tell you, I think at this point, but the album's been out a few weeks, but I think at this point, Making Peace with This Wicked Beast is my favorite track. I'm loving that too. So, I love to rock, but at the same time, man, without those songs about struggle and about those songs about, love and hate and you know what I'm talking about. It really helps, it helps you guys to get it out, and it really helps the listener to get through what they're getting through, man. So
thank you so much, man. Listen, it's therapy for me. That's what it is for most of us that are songwriters. It's just therapy, man. It's just us working out our own junk that we have to deal with in our own lives.
Somebody told me it was actually Ryan Roxy that plays with Alice Cooper. He said, don't, because he did a song called Over and Done about, it's like, he's like, you could have all the makeup sex and this, that, but it's over and done. He goes, don't spend thousands of dollars on therapy. Listen to my record. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah,
I love Ryan, and I know the song you're talking about. And that's one of the best songs Ryan has ever written. And, man, that's what my favorite artists do for me. I listen to their songs and it gives me strength, or it gives me pause, or it gives me help, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe as we get older, man, songs like that are maybe more important. I don't know. But that's the beauty of making peace with this wicked beast, Jay. For all of the story from the front of the record up to that point, the world keeps spinning round. You can feel they're kind of coming to some kind of resolve. You follow that with making peace with this wicked beast. It's like, well, what is the wicked beast? Is it her? Is it us? Is it the world? Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm making peace with myself, and that's what's allowing me to move ahead with this relationship that's so important to me.
Mm. Every song on here, man, fits perfectly. This album was not a disappointment by far. I know you're on limited time
Thank
here,
you,
so
Jay.
You are welcome. I want to wish you the very best with this. Now, I see you got some, you said earlier in this interview that, you're making the calls to do stuff, but I see you got some dates coming up. You're doing some stuff with the Winery Dogs, with Ace Frehley. Anything else in the works?
Yeah, man. There's some festivals in the Southeast coming up, like in June or the first part of July. I'm actually going to go to Europe for 2 weeks worth of shows. I'm going to play with my buddies in Thin Lizzy. We're doing
I was going to ask you about that, yep.
Yeah, and then, right back over here, man, and we're going to resume, the work in progress of just getting in front of as many people as we can and spreading the word about this record and about what I'm doing, with my solo career at large, So just everything's moving at a good clip, Jay. I'm
good.
Pleased with kind of the tempo of my life right now.
Good. When I saw that Thin Lizzy announced that tour, I said, well, I know where Damon's going to be for those couple of weeks. It's the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, it's perfect, man, because it's not a bunch of shows. It's 4 shows, man, spread out over 2 weeks. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll kiss the wife and kids, go to the airport, take a flight, hang out with my brothers, eat some good food, play some great rock, come home, get back to work on my stuff, man. That's the dream for me right there, man.
Well, there it is. Memoirs of an Uprising. I encourage everyone to buy this album, man, because it is a great album. You can plunk down $8.70 on iTunes to buy this thing. And if you're a vinyl person, I see you got red vinyl out. There's all different ways to listen to this album, and I encourage everybody to do it, man, because it is really good, man. Really good.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much, man. And yes, send your people to my website, DamonJohnson.com. You can get all of that stuff, the CD, the vinyl, my whole discography is there. I got some badass T-shirts with that beautiful album
Saw that.
on it. A lot of cool stuff. Yeah.
Saw that. I look forward to you getting back into the New York tri-state area, and when you do, I will be there.
I'm coming in September, bro, so I'll be looking for you.
I will be there, and hopefully we can talk again.
We haven't posted the date. We haven't posted the dates yet, but they're coming. So
all right,
get ready.
cool.
Can't wait to see you, Jay.
I will be ready, man, and I will be there, and I'd like to talk to you again if that's cool.
We'll do it. Count on it. Count on it.
Damon Johnson, everybody. Damon, thank you so much for doing this, man.
Thank you, Jay. My pleasure.
Man, it was great to talk to you again, and let me tell you, man, when we sat down in that hotel lobby, it was a very beautiful interview that I did with you, man. I thank you for opening up and taking the time, man. It was really meant a lot to me.
I enjoyed that myself, Jay. You asked great questions.
Thank you.
I really felt comfortable, man. Thank you. Just like right now.
All right,
Another
cool.
good interview. Thank you so much.
Very cool. All right, man. Talk to you again soon.
You got it, brother.
All right,
you.
man.